All right, guys, we got some parts in for the custom spool gun that I'm building. I got this little 12 volt DC solenoid, and I just added some brass nipples to it for now. Found some screws to bolt it down somehow. The other thing I'm gonna do, so if you guys remember in the last video, I ripped the potentiometer off of the door like an idiot. I mounted it to this door. And it was part of this circuit board for this DC motor controller that I used years ago. I built this thing like 15 years ago, so I didn't really remember how I made it, unfortunately. So when I opened the door, I just ripped it apart. I found this one laying around, but it really doesn't control the motor that well. It's very notchy, and it's hard to get like a smooth, consistent up and down speed to it. Trying to go with some new technology here. This little guy, digital with the little built-in potentiometer. All right, sorry about that. Got so excited, I just threw the phone out of my hands. Anyway, got this little fan. I'm just gonna add, thinking, you know, the box may need a little bit of cooling. Anyway, got the DC power supply in here, toggle switch here. Even though this is white and black, guys, I kind of confused myself just now. This is coming from the DC power supply. So I just basically made the black the negative, the red is the positive. So I switched the positive for that. I'm going to leave that alone. And then I'm just going to figure out where, if I'm going to put this in the side or if I'm going to try to put this back on the top. You know, the top has the power switch, like I said. Maybe I'll just, you know, put that right over that hole like that. Just have to remember, like I keep saying, to make my wires long enough. So if I do take this apart years from now, you know, I'm not ripping everything apart. Then I got to make a few holes, and I'm going to run some hoses in with some grommets and kind of just run to this. I'll have this run you know, by the switch on the gun. So basically when you're pulling the trigger on the handgun, you're opening and closing the solenoid, and you're letting argon gas come out to the weld. Most of the time I'm going to be using argon for what I'm making that for. Trying to do like this silicone bronze wire, or maybe some aluminum. I have the other one set up for aluminum, so probably this one set up for the silicone bronze. If I do go back to steel welding, then I just have to switch to the 75-25 gas. But that shouldn't be a problem. But like I said, I'm trying to make this all in this unit here. These two wires are going to go out. They have to connect to the spool gun, you know, to power the spool. I definitely have to lengthen these. But other than that, shouldn't be too bad. All right, guys, I know how much you all love the chest cam, so I figured the channel's been down a little lately. This will definitely give it a little boost in viewership. All right, so now I have power going to my toggle. Through the toggle, I need these guys to come into the backside of this guy. Voltage in, positive, voltage negative, I should say. All right, let's clip these off. There we go. Oh, that's terrible. The whole wire basically just pulled right off. Not what I wanted at all. So looking like I'm gonna have to cut this back a bit. Yeah. All right, I'm shutting off the chest cam for a minute. We'll be right back. All right, so that was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. Sad part is that, like I said, I built this thing a long time ago, so I knew it then, I just forgot. The positive cabling is actually run around the negative. So if that makes sense, it's almost like a shielding cable. You know, like you use shielding cables for like CNC machines and stuff for the motors, so they ground at the end. So this is the positive. I put a piece of shrink wrap on it, and then I just, you know, stuck it in, tightened down my connection. I'll come back and shrink it later, but it's basically just bare under there. And then it comes in underneath the black outer covering. It's just wrapped around the white wire. Very strange, but it works, so we'll go with it. All right, so now I need my outputs, and that's going to be these two guys. Really doesn't matter which one I use because I have the connections at the other end. I just have to make sure once I get it set up that the motor's spinning in the right direction. But if it's not, you just switch them with DC. Everybody knows that. So, but just in case you didn't, you just switch them back, whatever you want to do. If you want to make it reversible, you put a single pole double throw switch somewhere in line, and then you could just flip the switch one way or the other and you can reverse the motor. But for a spool gun, we want it just one way, feeding the wire through the gun. All right, we got this all connected, guys. Yeah, looks good. I don't really have enough length, like I had said. You know, if I wanted to put it on this cover, if I go to take it off at some point, I don't have enough length in these wires. I'm going to extend these wires. I said it already a million times, but I might just loosen up this connection for now, slide it through, and see if I have enough. But before I get everything connected, I want to go get the spool gun, make the connections at the motor, and then I'll come back and just see. I want to see how this potentiometer and obviously the digital readout looks, and just basically see how it works. All right, guys, so I completely forgot that I put all this wire on the spool gun already. I made everything 10 feet. So this is the hose for the argon gas. These are the power wires to power the spool, as you can see, or power the windshield wiper motor, or whatever the hell it was. But anyway, so I basically could just get rid of these wires completely and just run these right into the box. My only problem is I'm not sure that this gauge of wire is going to fit into this little guy. This guy can handle 12 amps, which I felt like is way more than enough than this motor will draw, but maybe I'm wrong. And these wires are probably way overkill anyway. I'm not sure what they are offhand. They almost look like, I don't think they're 14. I think they're thicker. Maybe they're 12 gauge. I don't know. Anyway, for now, I'm just going to take the old vice grips, and where I have the spade connectors, just going to grip them together and see if we can get the motor to turn. All right, boy, was that anticlimactic. So I plugged it in and nothing worked. I did some quick testing with the meter here, and it seems my power supply is dead. This was just an old, I think a laptop power supply. I don't know. Anyway, I found this one in my junk electronics bin. This one unfortunately has to be, well, for now I'll just plug it into the wall. I could mount it in here, you know, and then run an extension cord out, something like that. But right now we're just in the testing phase, so I'm going to plug this guy into the wall. I think the wattage on this one, I think, is even higher. And it's 13 volts, which is a little more, but, you know, this motor should be able to handle that. I'm not trying to go high anyway. I just want a little more fine control down low. All right, so plug this in. I'm going to make my connections real quick, then I'll get back on it. All right, guys, this is so freaking cool. You guys are going to love this. So, we plug this guy in. Now, I bypassed the toggle switch for now. We're going to come back to that later. And that guy turns on. Unfortunately, it's blinking coming through the camera. I've been messing with pushing that button in and out. And the damn chest. All right. Me and the chest cam are not getting along today. Anyway. Yeah, it's blinking through the camera, but when I look at it in real life, it looks great. I have to remember I wired in this switch now on this guy. So, obviously I was sitting here, you know, bringing this up a little bit here and there as much as I could. All right, this stupid thing keeps shutting off on me. All right, hopefully I could get this to where I want. I'm going to bring this up to 10. It's obviously not 10 volts. It's a percentage of, I think, 100. So let's say we're at 10% current right now. If it was a 10 volt max system, that'd be easy. It would be 10 volts. but wear like a 12, 13 volt. Actually, when I checked this guy coming out of the wall, I was reading 20 volts. It's only supposed to be 13, but like I said before, I still think we're fine. DC motors tend to be over voltage, all right. They don't really, you know, die that easily. But anyway, so like I said, now come over here and nothing happens. All right, let's go up to 20. Come over to the motor and nothing happens. Oh, all right, so that is an on and off switch, but there's no way to tell, so the screen doesn't shut off. So right now, man, is that beautiful, guys. Now, all right, that's too slow, or I want to weld thicker metal. Let me go up to 30. So you guys can see that. I'm gonna come back. Oh man, that's beautiful. Now, I'm gonna do what I was wondering. Push the button, and it's off. Come back, push the button, and we're back on. Let me go up to 50. Hopefully you guys can see that. There goes a nice speed right there. If I had to guess, that might be somewhere around where I do most of my welding on the big MIG. Obviously, it's some guess, but you know, I got to mess around with it. Every material, as you guys know, every thickness of wire. I believe this is 035 aluminum I have in here now. But we'll go up. Let me go up to 75. Got a nice speed going right there. We got a little slippage because this isn't actually connected, guys. I could just pull that out right now. So, gotta remember that could be slipping, but for the most part, it's working pretty good. I'm gonna go to 100 real quick. All right, we're not gonna leave it at 100 because I have a feeling that might be 20 volts. But what I'm gonna do is my custom vice grip connections here. I'll just put the meter on it quickly. I'll disconnect that. Oh, not even. I'll just disconnect the motor and then I'll test the voltage when it's at 100. But man, is that great, guys. I don't know the longevity of these parts. Obviously, they all come from China. But if it stays working the way it is now, man, this will be running good. All right, guys. So I completely missed this little green light on the top here. That's off. And that's on. So glad I found that. And then I was running my big MIG and just kind of like trying to look at the speed when I pressed that. I had it set up for welding like 1/4-inch metal and 1/4-inch steel, let me say. And it was about that speed. I unfortunately don't have much left out of this setup right here. So, I mean, I don't foresee myself welding anything thicker than that anyway. Probably just going to be doing maybe some exhaust pipes, like cone pipes for 2 strokes with the silicone bronze, or just aluminum, like thin aluminum paneling with this guy. But I still have a little bit left. You know, I could crank this up. Like I said before, we'll go all the way up to 100, and then well, that's a pretty fast speed, but I really won't know until we do some more testing. So this is what I'm going with, guys. These were the old holes. That was the potentiometer knob and the toggle switch. For now, we're just going without the toggle. I'm going to mount this little fan in the back. So if I cut out that square, that should be plenty. Drill holes and mount that from the inside. And then on the outside, I'm going to try to fit this guy here. And then this will just get these little screens snap on. If you guys haven't used these for building electronics cabinets and whatnot, they're great. They do a nice job of filtering the air. And then I'm going to actually pull the air down and just have it blow out these things. I always pressurize a cabinet, guys, so that, you know, you don't want to suck in through an open hole, open holes with no filters, because you're just sucking the shop dirt into your cabinet. Heat does rise, but I don't really think this is going to give off much heat at all. It's low amperage when I'm doing. But anyway, we'll have the cooling fan, and then here is going to be the digital display. I just traced around it, and then I drew a secondary line a little bit thinner. I might have to widen these on the side because this has clips, and I'm not sure if the clips are going to go past or not, but we'll see once we get there. If anything, I could just take the bearing bit and just open them up a little bit. All right, guys, we got everything buttoned up. We need to first turn that on. Got to remember. All right, so when it's at 0, it doesn't actually flash green, but if you go up a little, then we could turn it on. Let's start at 50. And then come over here, and we're going the right direction. That looks pretty good. Now let's crank it up. 75. Oops, 75. The only negative, damn it, I didn't really think that it would draw that much amperage, but I connected the fan to the side of the power supply before it goes into the potentiometer. So I figured it would stay the same RPMs the entire time, but as you guys can see, it slows down to almost nothing. I'm gonna run it like it is, and maybe in the future what I'll do is I'll get a 120 volt fan and I'll do something, you know, a little different. I'll run it off the AC current coming in. But anyway, so far so good. We're gonna crank it up to 100. Once again, I said it before, I don't have this attached yet, so it's unfortunately slipping. But you guys get the idea. Hopefully in the next video, we'll actually be welding something.